Today in this 2014 Jeep Cherokee, we're going to install part number RM-154. This is the Roadmaster Universal High Power Diode Wiring Kit. Now before we do any work, we'll make sure that the key is in the off position. The electronics in this vehicle are so sensitive that if you disconnect the taillights, it could cause the computer to malfunction. Let's go ahead and open up the back hatch. And here are two fasteners that we have to remove to take off the taillight. We're going to use a T30 Torx bit to remove the fasteners. Okay, we'll rock the lens a little bit back and forth and pull straight back. Now we'll go ahead and remove the wire harness from the taillight. We'll push down a small tab right here and we can pull it apart. Now we're working with a driver's side taillight and we got it on tile to help protect the lenses so when we set it down we won't scratch it. Now this socket right here, we have to loosen up from the bracket. So there's a small tab you push down about right here and you can pull it apart. Now you see a connection point here. This is intended for an upgrade for a towing package. However, in this case, when we install our diodes, we want to be as close to the taillight bulb, in this case LEDs, as possible. So we will go past this junction and install right here. So let's get our wires ready. We need to get the tape out of our way. Now we tested these wires earlier using a tester and found that our green wire is a left turn signal and our purple wire is a running light circuit. Now, anytime you apply power going into the circuit, you always want to use a diode. And that's what comes with the kit. And to do that, we'll just go ahead and cut our wire in half and add these terminals, one to each side. Now our out always goes towards the tail light. And this in is for our input from the vehicle. One of these wires will go into the input, and then our other wire harness that'll get powered by the RV will go into the other tab. It doesn't matter which tab you use. We'll go ahead and mark our diodes too. We're going to put a L for left turn, and we use R for a running light circuit. Okay, let's go ahead and take our terminals off our diode first. So we'll work with our green wire first. We'll cut it in half. Strip the wires back. It's very fine gauge, so you want to be careful with it. And we'll go ahead and install our terminals. Now let's go ahead and install our diode. Just our left turn. Remember, we want our output going to our taillight. Output taillight, input from our vehicle, and does not matter which tab. We're already done with the first circuit. Right? So we got our left turn signal, and this is actually our brake signal as well, because it's combined in this car. And it'll also be combined coming out of the RV typically. So we're done with our left turn and brake signal. Now our running light circuit. That will be our purple wire. So let's get our diode out of the way as best we can and install our second diode. Remove our terminals. Now you'll notice that there's one yellow one. We'll put that off to the side for now because we have a special use for that. All right, let's go ahead and install our diode out to the taillight and our input. We have to unwind our wires just a little bit, get us some slack. All right, we're done for driver's side. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with the passenger side. There it is. Let's go ahead and repeat the same thing on the passenger side. We'll go ahead and remove our taillight like we just did before, and then we'll go ahead and mark our diodes. We'll make this one RT for right turn, and we'll make this one just R for running light circuit. Let's go ahead and remove the terminals from the diodes. Go ahead and release our socket to give us some working room. And we'll cut our wires just like we did before. And it's going to be the same colors on both sides. So we'll go ahead and separate our two same wires. We'll work with our green wire first for our turn signal. Let's go ahead and add our terminals. Let's go ahead and install a right turn signal. Single tab to the taillight, and there are inputs here. Next up, our purple wire. Okay. Single tab output, and our input. Now we have both our taillights prepared, which I think this is the hardest part. So now on to the easy stuff. Let's set our taillights to the side. Let's go ahead and work with our wire harness. Now it's about 30-foot long harness here, and we got two 4-pole ends. Now we don't need one of these, so let's go ahead and cut off one end. And we'll go ahead and take our 4-pole end, and we'll go to the driver's side taillight, and we'll go ahead and run this between the body and the bumper cover on down to the ground for now. We'll go ahead and pull it out the bottom to take up our slack as well. All right, now we're not going to take all of it and push it down there. We need to leave enough. We'll pull some back out, because eventually two of these wires are going to have to go over to our passenger side. So we'll just go ahead and just kind of loosely lay it out to see how much we need to get to our passenger light. Now eventually we're going to have to split up all our wires. We'll work with one wire at a time. First off, we'll go ahead and split off our white wire. This is going to be ground. So we'll go ahead and pull it apart a little bit, and on the end here, we'll go ahead and cut it, and we'll add a ring terminal and attach it to the bodywork for ground. This will carry our ground from our RV to our car. Let's go ahead and pull apart our brown wire now. Now, we're going to cut this wire in half. For lack of a better term, we're going to put it back together again. What we're creating is actually a junction that'll go to our driver's side taillight for running light circuit, and then also over to our passenger side. That's why we need that yellow terminal, so it can accept both wires. All right, now let's go ahead and work for a yellow wire. This will be simple, just like our ground wire. Okay, we're going to cut this wire in half. Basically do the same thing like you do with our ground wire. And the rest of this yellow wire is not even going to be used. So we'll go ahead and add a terminal to this end, and this will be ready to plug into our diode. So now we got our two wires that are ready to plug into our diode that's already been installed into our taillight. Now let's go ahead and get rid of our excess wires. We'll get rid of our white wire and our yellow wire, because we won't need these to add to confusion. Now we got our two separate wires. We'll go ahead and keep them together by using some loom material. And this loom material does come with the kit. We got loom material on our wires. Now we'll go ahead and what we're going to do is pull away on the weather strip. We want to make sure we can tuck it behind the plastic. Then our seal can go back into place. And let's work one small section at a time, hiding it in place. We're just using a typical plastic tool that you can find in any auto parts store to help tuck in a wire. Let's go ahead and put our terminals on the end of our wires now, and we'll get our wires prepared to plug into the diodes. Alright, let's go ahead and make our final connections. Now, our brown wire is going to be a running light circuit, so we'll go ahead and run that right to our diode labeled R for running light circuit. And our green wire will be for our right turn signal, so we'll go ahead and run that to the diode labeled RT. Let's go ahead and plug the factory wiring back into the taillight, and we can go ahead and reinstall our taillight. Plug very carefully since there's a lot of stuff behind the taillight now. Alright, just like before, we'll go ahead and hook up our diodes. We'll go ahead and, our brown wire is for a running light, so we'll go ahead and run to a diode labeled R for a running light circuit. And then our left turn signal will go to the diode labeled left. Let's go ahead and plug the factory wire harnesses together. And we can go ahead and install our taillight. Okay, at this point we have our vehicle electrically connected, so it's a good idea to go ahead and try it out before we run our wire from the back all the way up to the front, just to verify everything's working. So at this point you can simply just back it up to your RV and try it out. We'll go ahead and try out a running light circuit first, then our left turn, and our right turn. Let's go ahead and try out our brake signal. Now that we've verified that our circuit's working and everything, we'll go ahead and start taking our 4-pole wire and running it up towards the front of the vehicle. Now when we do this, we'll make sure we stay away from anything moving like suspension components or steering components up front. Also, we'll stay away from the exhaust as well. We'll go ahead and zip tie it to secure it. Now there's a rather large panel that we unbolted, and then we just went ahead and just let the panel hold the wire and secure it in place as well. Now when we run our wire up to the front, we used a pull wire to help pull it from the bottom to the top. In this case, it's an old piece of airline tubing. But we can just go ahead and just tape it to the bottom of the wire and pull it up. It's pretty complicated around the suspension, so it's just easier, I think, to come up and over and then back down to the grill. The small plastic cover that we can go ahead and slide it underneath. To do that, we'll go ahead and remove some of the rivets. Sometimes the trim panel tool also helps. Go ahead and zip tie our wires as best we can. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall our plastic rivets. We'll go ahead and route down towards the grill at the bottom. We'll go ahead and cut a hole that will be eventually used for breakaway switch as well. But we can use this also to run our wires. We'll go ahead and zip tie it to secure it. To make our wires look nice, we'll go ahead and use some glue material to help cover up the wires. Okay, when we're not using it, we can go ahead and tuck it behind the grill. Okay, and with that, that'll finish it for our install, part number RM-154 from Roadmaster. This is the Roadmaster Universal High Power Diode Wiring Kit on our 2014 Jeep Cherokee.